Hello again, everybody. Welcome once more back down into the cellar. Yes, wires. As this one's going to be a quick little look at some of the wiring for the new section of the track that went down. First of two parts. Episode 50. If I'd realised this was going to be episode 50, I'd have probably tried to script something a little bit better than this. This is Leopard Street. Right. Hello again. Wiring. That's what we're doing today. Wiring. Specifically going to have a look at how I'm doing wiring first and what sort of wires we use. Because what I need to do is get these bits here wired up. Many sorts of wire. You see lots of videos on layout wiring, and everybody really goes on about what gauge of wire you can use. I mean, I've got a couple here. This is, I think, 2402. So 24 strands, 0.2 mil across, and 1602, which a lot of my wiring is this. I use some 2402 for 5 volt DC stuff. The layout ring main is 3202 because that could end up carrying a few more amps. You see all of this, and people are, oh, you must use 3202. You must use whatever. 1602. This is purely for dropper wires, and you use something thicker everywhere else. Have you seen the wire inside a locomotive? It's tiny. So the reason you use this stuff is not it can carry more current. Well, it can. It's voltage drop. Wire has resistance. Thicker wire has less resistance. So over a given length, it'll have so many ohms. It's fairly straightforward. So over a long length of wire, you'll get a voltage drop. And if you use a thicker wire, the voltage drop will be less. It's simple. Quick drink. And the drink of the day, been pushing the boat out here. This is a cocktail, sort of. It's Aldi orange and pineapple squash mixed with a little bit of Aldi lemon squash. So there we go. See, dangerous. So the wiring I tend to use, I have got this sort of stuff, 1602, green for frog wire, fairly obviously. And if I look over here, you'll see there's a couple of reels, 1602, blue and brown I use for my DCC wiring. Blue tends to be the return, brown tends to be the out, so to speak. I mean, it's AC, so it could be either way around. Typically, I've got block detection is on the brown, blue is common. That's all there is to that, really. Doesn't matter what you do and what colours you use, as long as you are consistent. Is always the thing. You must be consistent with these things. So there we are, back onto here. Incidentally, I've also got, when I come up to do the reversing loops, pink and purple, because again, we need to be able to tell them apart. So, we look at what we've got here, and there is a piece of track, and a piece of track with a point. Okay, well, the point is like that, and the piece of track is just a piece of track. So I need to power them. Now the fairly obvious thing to do is say, well, I'll just have a wire. For example, there's a feed there, and there's a feed there in blue. There's a feed there, and one there in brown. And then here, there's one in green, because frogs are green. It's a cliche, I know, but I don't really care. But how do we actually wire this up? I mean, physically, obviously it's just, well, I run bits of wire somewhere. So what do we do? Well, when I lay the track, feed wires are soldered to it. The exception was these, where I had to solder them in afterwards, but that's because I screwed up. These things, terminal blocks, I get them from Amazon. 4-way, 6-way, 12-way, 8-way, 10-way, all available. And I tend to screw these under the board. Now, if we look over here, Ouch, banging my head on the desk again, on the ceiling rather. If we look over here, you can see here there is one of them. Now what I'm going to do is actually take you out to the stand and I'm going to show you under the layout briefly. So if we come down here like so, you can look under here and you see there's a whole load of these rails under here. There's another one over there. There's a lot of them. And what I do is I terminate the dropper wires into those. And then from there I can do whatever I like. So we come back up here. I shall put you back in the stand, because if I don't put you back in the stand, I can't see what I'm doing. So come back over here like so. And allow me to just make a quick adjustment here. Because this stand is a little bit problematic, but anyway. Let's put it there. You can just about see what I'm doing, and if I can twist the... No, never mind. Anyway, right, there we are. So, what I do, under the board, I'm going to have a terminal block. It's a 6-way block, like that. And I will say, that blue wire will come into there. That blue wire will come into there. I will put a link piece in that side, and that will go off to a DCC bus. And that is another terminal block. I shall draw in over here. That sits on the power board. And there's a load of blue terminals in there. Blue is common throughout the layout. There's nothing else to it, it's just a return. What I'll then have is that brown wire will come into that one. That brown wire will come into that one. And these, a little bit different. And they are actually treated differently. This one, for example, will come up, it will go through a block detection section, and it will just go up into there, and that's again DCC. Point one's a little bit different. I have a second one of these on the power board. This case I think it's a 6-way again, actually, this board it's going into. All the points feeds come through this. So that one comes down here, goes into there as a point feed. And then that also comes up here into the DCC. You may think, what's the extra one of these for? It's to do with the frog. See, the frog comes up here and there is a relay. And the frog wire comes down, it also goes into one of these, and then it comes out and it goes all the way around here straight into the relay. I need to be able to make that relay go to the blue wire or to the brown wire. So one of its contacts comes off up here like so and goes into here onto the common. Doesn't matter which bit of the blue, blue is common. And this feed comes out here into there. So what we've got is the normal piece of track is fed through that one. The point feed comes into here and it goes directly to the track. I think I've got this one the right way around. Got this right way around? Yeah, so this one comes around here, into here, to the track, but it also feeds to the point, but critically they all go through that bit there. Hopefully that makes some sort of sense. Now, what wires I use for these vary a little bit. Basically, it's all 1602 except this wire here, which tends to be the larger 24. It's just going to carry a little bit more power because this block, this blue wire may come into here and then it will daisy chain off into another block for some more common connectors. A bit more of a drink. So the next job is to go under the board because I've got to fit one of those. In practice, I've actually got to fit two of them. because I've got these other points which are currently sitting underneath all my tools. I did say I was going to try and keep the board tidy. So far I've failed. Yeah, I just failed completely. So, I need to get some screws to mount this. I need to relocate to the underside of the board, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, here we are under the layout again. So, what I need to do, I have some screws. These are fairly short ones. These are 16mm. Chosen because they will go through this block sufficiently into the board. The board is 9mm. The board is 6mm ply, so they'll go through a fair way. They won't come out the top because there's other bits and pieces on the top, and I'm actually going to fit them onto this bit here. So what I need here is going to be one of these. Now this is going to handle these two wires, which come from the point, the frog wire, which is that one, and then these two, which are the other little feed piece I've seen. So I'm going to need 5 of these 6 terminals to do this, and I'm going to do it with a screwdriver, and I'm going to fit it here. Now hold that, and it's certainly not going to come out the top because it's being screwed into this piece of wood. So that is that. Need to persuade the other screw to go through the hole. And that's there. There are cover pieces for these. I tend not to fit them because they basically keep falling off. What I'm going to do, however, is screw the end one of these tight. And I'm going to slacken the others off. Find if I screw them tight, they stay in. If I don't, they fall out. And I'm going to need 5 of them. So I'm going to do 5. The blue ones are going to go in the end. Then I'll put the brown ones in. Then I'll put the green one up here. And that'll terminate those wires. I've actually got another block to put over the other side, which I need to position somewhere the other wires will fit to. Now when I can fit them to here. There's a bigger one back here, which you might be able to see if I move over a little bit. Just say the leg of the camera stand is catching on something. When I fit these under the board directly, I fit them under where track is, because I'm not going to drill down through track. So that sits there. And there's another hole there for something. Oh yeah, these are the sensor holes where the some of the infrared's going to go, which have been sort of drilled in a few places. Drilling them now means I'm not going to drill holes through them later. So I just need to work out where I'm going to put this other one, because it's got to take these and some wires over this side. So I think where it's going to go is a little bit further over. So I'm just going to do that, and that will be going up through the bottom of the board. The other thing is, obviously, it needs to be far enough away from the edge pieces of the board that I can get into the side of these with terminals. So I just need to work out exactly where I'm going to fit this. I'll fit this, and I shall be back. No, there I think will do. And this is going to go just into here. I try and do the similar sort of jobs all at the same time if I can. Now, like I say, these screws are reasonably long. They will pop up through the plywood. However, the ply on the other side of it has got 5mm XPS, and then the track has got cork on top of that. So screwing up underneath it, it shouldn't touch anything. So that's those 2 blocks in place. I now need to go and get the crimping tools, and I'll show you what we do with those. Okay, back above the desk. So here I have a length of wire, which is going to be used sort of sacrificially for this. And what I do with these wire, there's 2 sorts of crimps I use actually. The sort I'll be using under the board are these, which are spade terminals. You can get them in big packs from Amazon and similar. I get these from, I think it's GWR connectors or components on eBay. Typically a bag of 100. I think I bought 500 last time because I'm forever running out. And you need a tool to crimp those with. Now, you'll often see these on the likes of eBay and in DIY places for crimping tools. In the bin. They're horrible. What I use is this. And it's got a nice set of jaws, which focuses in there. And the thing to notice is it's got a side to it. It's not much, but it does have a side. This side of the jaw is slightly deeper than that side. The top piece is the same. And essentially, there's a side to it, and I'm trying to remember which way round it goes. It's like that. So, goes in there, sorry, the other way, goes in this way. So the base goes in there. If you look into here, I don't think I can get this to focus. There we are. You can see it's got a base and then two pieces that claw around over the top, and they need to be pressed inwards. And that's what this smaller piece on the top of the jaw does. So let's have a look. I'm going to strip the end of this. This is 1602. So get the end. I twist it. You don't have to. And then you have a problem, because if you put it into here, it'll go in quite nicely and fall straight off again. This wire, to focus, is too small. This has advantages. You can take two pieces of this, twist it together and put it into one of these terminals. What I do is fold it over like that. And then it can go into there. And now, it's a little bit harder to go in, but it will actually stay on. And then we put it into the crimp, which is that way, so that this lower side goes into here, like that. It goes in like that, and you need it to hold on there, and then you basically just squeeze, and it comes out, and then I tend to redo it to make sure that end is properly crushed. In that case, it skipped the thing. And it comes out, and that should and is now attached. You don't have to use these. If you get one of these connector blocks, you can just strip the end of the wire and put it in and clamp it down, or strip the end of the wire, put a loop in it, put it in and clamp it down, and that works perfectly fine. But what I find is over time that can wear itself loose and is a bit of a pain. But this goes in, it's a nice firm contact. Like I say, it's very easy to put two wires in. And also this connector, you can put a terminal in that way, so like the body of it faces down. And you can put another one in on top like that, which means you can actually get 4 wires in one side of this, which is quite nice. And then, like I say, there are terminal rail pieces you can just put in, say I want these 3 to be common. Don't have any of those readily to hand. And away you go. The slightly thicker gauge wire, this 2402, it goes in a similar way, except if you bend this one double, it won't fit. There are bigger ones of these. You can get them. They come in red, which is the smallest. Blue is the next size up, which I've got some of somewhere. I use the blue on the 3202 wire. You can do it with the 24 and fold it. But what I tend to do with this is strip it and just put a little kink in the wire so it'll hold. The crimp will hold onto these quite happily, but it'll fall off while it's loose. So if you put a little kink in the wire, it'll hold it. So I now need to go under the board with a pen. A pen is very important, because if you don't label these things, you're really in trouble. So I'm going to do that. I'll be back in a couple of minutes when I've got this wired up and we'll have a look at it. Okay, here we are back under the board. So this is the terminal for feed 11, which is these two stub tracks, which we'll go up and have a look at in a minute. And then these wires that come through here, which is from the point frog, and then the point frog. That all comes into this block. I actually thought there was going to be more wires to terminate here, but there isn't. The other wires I had hanging down, these two, are actually an extension off point number 4, which is feed 10. So they've gone into that block where that comes from. And then the others I looked at earlier are in that block there. So none of that is currently connected to anything in terms of the layout. However, I should be able to do some continuity testing up above. So we'll have a look at that. Okay, here we are back up above the board. There's a little bit of continuity testing I can do here. As I say, it's not connected to anything else yet, but there are some sections that have been joined together. So we have the electrical meter, which is well worth having. Continuity mode. This point and this bit of insulated track are connected. So in theory, if I can untangle the wires enough to do it, I don't know quite what it is about wires and tangling up. That should be connected to that, which it is, but not that. That should be connected to that, which it is, and not that. And this obviously comes all the way through here as well. So all of that is one electrical block. It goes off to the board join up to there. This point has these two little pieces here on the end as part of the same electrical block. As I said when I was laying these, I could wire these separately and make them like emergency trip blocks or something. I haven't, but I have the option to. So that and that connect, and that, but not that one or that one, and the outer rail, and that, but again, not that. And the frog isn't connected to anything as yet. The way the points are modified, this is the Chadwick modification. It's noted on the packaging as something you can do. There's a feed across there, so the switch rail and the stock rail are electrically bonded on both sides. Basically what it means is the switch rails only move the trains, they do not switch electricity, which is useful. The next job, which is for another evening, because this is a midweek evening, I only have a little bit of time down here on midweek evenings, is to connect these to the panel. This one will be the easy one. This point over here, which is feed number 9, also needs connecting. And there's actually some other bits I need to do while I'm here, because I have now numbered these points, which previously they weren't. So what I need to do is mark these out. So I have a point, make it nice and clear on the bit of sticker. I have a 0.5 and a 0.6. And it's one of these things, it doesn't really matter which way round they are, but I do need to know which way round they are. So that one's 0.5, and this one here is 0.6. So I'll put a little sticker down there so you can see 0.5, 0.6. So when I'm setting these up, these dot sheets are absolutely beautiful. Kids stickers off Amazon. Yeah, but so when I'm connecting these up, I know when I'm looking at 0.5 in all my electronics, it's this one. 0.5, this will go to relay number 5. That'll go to relay number 6. I can see all that. So yeah, this one here will be the first one to be done. It works now, doesn't go through a block detection board, which it needs to now that's fitted. So that's feed number 9. I'm then going to come this one, which is feed number 10, which includes that point. This one is feed 11, which includes that point. I've got feed 12, which is this point, and feed 13, which is this piece of track. Yeah, I don't know why that's not 12 and that's not 13 either. That's just the way I labelled them. So that takes me up to 13. And then I've got, in theory, 14, 15, 16, or 14, 15, 16 on the reversing sidings. I suspect these may end up as 14, 15, 16 here, because these are part of the normal running layout. Yes, I can put current, well, I will have current detection on the reversing loops, which are sort of these long pieces over here. There are, I'm up to 16 channels on the board, 2 DTC8. There isn't space on there physically for any more, but I do have this bit of board here. So I'm suspecting what I'm going to do is surface mount a couple of DTC8s here. I could in theory mount them underneath, but I might as well mount them on the top where I can get at them. It just makes life easier. This will also have all the reversing loop circuitry and other bits and pieces fitted to it. And that makes life simpler. What it also means is I can lay these little pieces of track here eventually. That can be done whenever. It's not needed yet, because I mean I could use them as storage sidings, but it's not really needed yet. And also it comes off this edge of the board, so I'd have to lay some track, and it would have to stop short so I could put a feed piece over the track join and solder it all up later. So you're probably talking stopping about there, about here, say. I'm not sure there's value in that at the moment. These will be the departure siding ends. So in theory, I suppose if I make this road here a little bit longer, I can put a shorter train here. It can then depart onto the anti-clockwise loop. It can rumble round, but it'll have to go up to the station. There is no other. I don't have the reversing capability at the other end yet, so there's not a lot of point in worrying about these. So actually, I might do it the other way around and have these ones here on. I've got a pair of DTC2s, and I might fit them in this corner here. The problem is they will need their own ESP32 controller board. I mean, it'll end up probably as well. In theory, it's still part of board G, but in practice, it won't be. It'll be called something else. But that means that can be done entirely another day, which is probably what I'm going to do. But I will be able to use these little bits here. So this little spur will essentially become a loco siding. I mean, I've used it as a loco siding, but it'll be something like, just stick a locomotive on there of some sort where it's just out of the way, or a coach or a couple of wagons. I mean, this sort of whole spur back to the junction becomes storage. Although I don't want to park trains over points. Points occasionally move when things are powering up, and if a train's sat over them, it can derail, which I don't want to happen. So that's it for tonight. I'm going to be back down here in another couple of days' time. It's currently Wednesday filming this. There's a video out today governing the track work and everything down here. This is a follow-on from that. I'm probably going to wrap this one up in a minute. I'll put this video out just as a short video. And what I will then do is a longer one consisting of how these get wired into the panel, and include the power on testing, the initial continuity testing, which you've just seen part of. That carries on with, are all the blue rails connected to each other? Are the brown rails? They are all connected to each other via the block system, so I can check all of that. Then we'll do some power on testing. Then we'll do some train running, and that'll be good. Yes. So I'm going to leave it there. I will catch you all in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. It is quite heartening the number of views these videos are now getting, and yes, getting comments, which is lovely and motivating. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. I will catch you in the next video. Thank you very much, and goodbye.